Why is there so much disparity between the old players and the new players? Recently, there's been a trend. The modern football fans think that the olden days football players were not that good. The olden days football fans think that modern day footballers are not that good because they now enjoy so much systems that makes football really better. While the modern fans think that in the olden days, players get a lot away with a lot of things. Football has not really developed. People have not really developed strategies and systems to make football hard. Why the olden days think that the implementation of VAR, where it gives you a clear penalty, you score 5, 6 penalties in a season. They think that modern day footballers are just finding it easy. What is your thought and your stance about this? Do you think that Pele was really overrated with 1,000 plus goals that they said they could not account for? Or do you think that modern days footballer are so much more technical than the previous ones? Do you think modern day footballers are stronger and they are better than the olden days football players? Do you think that a player like Pele would thrive in this generation? Do you think a player like Cristiano Ronaldo would thrive in the older generation? Do you think a player like Lamine Yamal would have thrived in the older generation? Or do you think a player like Mane Garincha or Diego Maradona would have thrived in this modern football of offside, of VAR, of so many deep playing, low blocks, and all of that? So why is it two different generations have extremely opposite views about the same game? And this is not only in football alone, even in music, even in movies, in the entertainment industry. People think the olden days musicians were not that good. The older generation thinks the modern day artists, musicians are just full of garbage. People think the olden days actors, modern day fans think the older actors were whack. The older generation think these modern day actors are just thriving on social media hype. So why is it that the same craft, the same game, the same movie, what probably changes, maybe advancement in technology and stuff like that, but why is there so much disparity? I mean, it's okay to agree that football has evolved, football has developed, there are now modern technologies, there are now better healthcare, stuff like that. But why do we sit in that space of arguing that the olden days footballer were not that good, and then the older fans, the older generation will say the newer generation footballers are not that good? Why do you think such a wide disparity exists? If you know the reason, you can let us know in the comment section and then we can have a conversation together. But if you look at it technically, why is it that as long as we think that the olden generation players were not that good, but we had olden generation of players of countries that won back-to-back World Cup, and in this modern generation, it's been a very, very difficult thing to achieve. Why is it that there are still long-standing records in the older generation that this generation is still struggling to beat? I'm not talking about Ballon d'Or and Ronaldo and Messi. Let's take away Ronaldo and Messi that were extremely, extremely extraordinary in this generation. Let's just take them apart. Let's go for other players beneath them. So why is there such a gap? If you're having a football chat with an elderly person, let's say somebody in their 50s, they would barely agree that modern day footballers are good. Or they would say, let me paraphrase that, the olden days footballers were much better. Meanwhile, if you're having a chat with a 19, 20-year-old person, he was going to tell you that olden days footballers are not good. So the back and forth, why is it that? Because when you watch the clip, yeah, the olden days clip look whack though, but not the gameplay itself. Probably the technology and probably the rules, but I think the talent is still consistent all through. We had players that were fantastic, that were dazzling, players that were unstoppable in the olden generation, and in the newer generation, we still have such players as well that they are unstoppable. So if you think let me know I'm really interested in knowing people's thoughts because my content is mostly centered on understanding a thought process behind football. So I'm trying to get into a lot of people's head to know why actually they have this notion and this thought, why they think that those players were no good. And if you look at, let's say, a country like Brazil, in the olden days, they used to have fantastic players, the typical Samba boys, people with flicks, with, I don't mean Nancy Flick, I mean players with flares, players with explosive shot powers, with dribbling and all of that. And Brazil was doing wonders in the previous generation. But this modern day generation has, yeah, we have the Vinicius, we have the Neymar Jr., but the core of the team is looking like football is leaving them, kind of like the team is getting depleted. And every day we see videos of people doing kick-ups in Brazil, doing football showmanship, juggling the ball. And that brings me to one conclusion. Because you can do exhibition with football, because you can do 100 kick-ups, because you can do 100 step-overs, because you can display on the bridge side, does not really mean that you're going to be a good football player, because football is more than exhibition. There are systems, there is coaching, there is pressure, there is so many other things involved in football. So if the olden generation was not good, why is the modern generation now suffering in terms of the depth and the quality of their squad? That's Brazil in one context. We can talk about England. It looks like the modern day England. I don't want to talk about the 1966 group that won the World Cup. Let's look at the 1980s, the David Beckham golden generation and all of that. Compared to this modern generation of Bukayo Saka, of Elliot Anderson, of Harry Kane, and stuff like that, would you say that the olden days generation are still better, or would you still say that the newer generations are also much better? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. I'll still make more videos on general football thoughts and understanding the thought process behind how fans view football. Thank you guys for watching this one. You will see me again in another one. Thank you. Bye.